Hello, folklore professors. My name is Hetty Mudge, and today I'm here with.
My name is Precious. I'm also a student of folklore.
Yes. So we're just gonna get straight into it, asking Precious questions about folklore and their arts, his culture, his tradition, and whatnot. So first, I'm gonna start off by asking Precious, what is folklore to you?
Folklore to me is like a buildup of stories that has been passed on for generations and generations, and like they can change like throughout. Like it depends on people who are telling the stories. So like we can say like maybe in the 1900s a story was told, and then fast forward to like the 20th century, like the same story was told, but it has like different elements to it, and that's what folklore means to me.
I agree. Folklore is most definitely a buildup of stories and myths and legends and just things getting twisted, played by ear. It's like a game of telephone, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. So, first, you're from Nigeria, right?
Yeah, I am.
Could you tell me a little bit about Nigeria and where you're from, like your community and your ethnic group? Like, how are they? How do you associate yourself when you think Nigerian?
All right, so in Nigerian, I'm a part of the Yoruba tribe. That's the largest tribe in Nigeria.
Sure.
All right, and like I'm from like a part called Akure. It's like a little town. It's close to Lagos, but not too close. And then like my community is just like around like my family, like my grandmother and her side of the family, my grandfather and his side of the family. My grandfather did pass away, but like his relatives are still alive. So like we do thrive off their income and stuff and whatnot. And then my community, it's mixed like with religions. We have Christianity. We have some people don't believe in God, like our religions itself. We have Muslims. We just have like a whole lot of things.
Thank you. Very, very well said. Sorry, my guest is hot, but I don't have a fan or anything for you today. Where are you coming from?
My room.
Oh, okay. Okay, so our first major topic is foodways. We're gonna get into traditional food. So, what are some traditional dishes from your region?
Well, everybody knows what jollof is, so I won't even get into that. But we have something called we have efo egusi. That's like a draw soup. So like, and we have this thing. Many people know fufu too, but it's not like fufu, but it's something similar. So you have that, and you eat that with the egusi, and you draw it up and you eat it. You use it with your hands. You can use a fork if that's what you prefer. But like where we come from, we typically use it with our hands, and it's not deemed nasty or anything.
Correct.
Clean hands, of course. We have another dish. We call it moi moi. It's like egg and like wheat, but it's like a lot of elements of like ingredients put together, and it's really good.
Yeah, so basically, I noticed that you said jollof. So I'm aware Nigerian jollof is very good, but I don't think you tried Senegalese jollof. It's most definitely number one, probably the best jollof that anybody could eat. So if you haven't tried Senegalese jollof, I recommend that you try Senegalese jollof.
You know what? I won't even argue with her because I don't really get into the jollof debate. I've only tried my
Okay.
type of jollof, so I don't know. I can't even go into depth on like how good her jollof is.
Okay,
But
that's fair.
I'll give her.
Yeah, it's most definitely up there. Also, my culture can most definitely relate to you with the eating with your hands. A lot of people who aren't a part of cultures that eat with their hands, they may see it as nasty, but it's completely normal to eat with our hands. It's even something that I do today. Like I still happen to eat with my hands. So thank you for answering that. You said what?
Me too.
Are you aware of any foods that are connected to celebrations or rituals?
Okay, so we have this thing called pepper soup. I would say like during weddings, that's probably like one of the most things that's always like passed around. It has it has goat meat, but we call it asu, and then we have suya too. So like that's like typically like what people like really love, like when we have weddings or like festivals. That's probably passed around, and you know jollof. Jollof is one of the mainstream items that we typically eat. So we have jollof, we have suya we have suya and asun. And then pepper soup, yeah. So I would say like those are the four main things that we typically eat when it comes to like
That sounds very good. So, are there any like special methods or tools when it comes to making that dish? Because I know like a lot of cultures like they'll have like a specific ingredient in all their dishes, or like use a specific pot, or just have a specific technique when it comes to making their foods. So, are there anything in the realm of that area that you're aware of when it comes to making those dishes?
I would say ingredient wise, we use a lot of pepper. We love spicy things, so I would say like red pepper and green pepper is always implemented in every dish we make. I wouldn't say like we use specific pots, but like we do like use like really huge pots when making food. Just because like there's always like a large portion of people, so like they want to get like the food making done faster. And then yeah, I would say that's about it.
Yeah, I can most definitely relate to that. Having the big pot so everybody can eat,
Yep.
because it's gonna be multiple people eating. You might even eat the same dish for a couple of days. So that's real. So who in your family usually cooks?
If it's not the elders, like such as like my grandparents, it's always the grandparents' kids, like the people that follow right after them, just because they have the experience and they have like the strength to do it. Elders, they typically know how to make it better just because of experience, but their children would typically make it, and it's just like I said, it's a large portion of people making the food, so like it can get distributed out like more.
Okay. So this is a follow-up question. Do you find that like the dishes taste different with different people making it, or like are they usually making it the same, or like do they usually have their own little spin to it and whatnot?
I would definitely say that it's different depending on the person who makes it. Everybody has their own spin when it comes to making food. I won't say it's bad, but it does have a different taste. Probably like the spice levels will be a little lower, a little higher, a little sweeter or less sweeter, or just like a little, the taste might be a little or it might be like a little so like
Yeah, that's so real.
it depends on who's making it.
That's so real. I can only eat food that's made by my aunt or my mom when it comes to African food, because their food just tastes so good. And every time I try anything outside of it, I have a problem of comparing it to like my aunt's food or my mom's food. So I'm very strict about who I'm eating my food from. Are you, or you'll eat anything?
I'm not gonna lie, I will say I will eat anything from an African person, just because I feel like ethnically and culturally, like I have like that trust in them when they have that, like they have the food making skills.
You just feel it.
Yeah, but when I don't mean to be disrespectful or rude, but like if an American person is making an African dish, then I will stir away.
Yeah, that's real. I would do the same. So, do you have any personal memories tied to a specific dish or meal? Like, what, when you eat, like, let's say, for example, a goosey, like, what do you think of? Is there just a specific dish that you could think of?
Okay, I'm gonna answer her first question. When I eat a goosey, I ain't gonna lie, I be thriving. That is so good. Like, it's probably one of my favorite dishes when it comes to like eating African food. But like, one of my core memories was back in Nigeria. Like, during the nighttime is like when people are always like, they're in the little stands and they're always selling food. So me and my mother, we went on a motorcycle and we just going around like trying different food. And like the awesome, the goat meat, that was really good. Like I think that's my top one. It's just like the spice levels are perfect. It don't really matter who makes it, because like there's only like one specific way you're supposed to make it. So like if it's not that spice level, then you know they made it wrong. But like if it's made to like the T, oh yeah, top 10, top 3. Top 2, and it's not 2. Come on, bro. That's
He said it's number 1.
It's really
pretty
good.
much. So you've been to Nigeria?
I have.
Just once?
I've been there multiple times.
Oh really?
Yeah.
How's that experience? Tell us, please.
For the first time that I went for my auntie's wedding. It was like a really good experience. It's like something I can always remember. It was very huge. It was very packed. A lot of my family was there. It was like a very core memory, just because I've never been to a wedding before, and that was my first one. I didn't really know what to expect. Although I was a lot younger, the memory still stuck with me, just because like how much of an impact that like scenery had on me. There was so much color. Then they had a festival after, and like we just went all over town, just riding around, walking around, just having fun. Just having fun.
That sounds fun, man. You know, African weddings, it's either go big or go home. Nothing in between. African weddings are always very big.
Not even though African weddings, there is no going home African wedding. They always come to perform. I've yet to see one that's just
right. They're always top tier, top notch. So if you haven't been to one, I recommend that you meet an African getting married and you show up. So now we're gonna move on to a different topic. Thank you for answering everything that you could about food. You answered everything very nicely. So now we're gonna talk about crafts and material culture. Not to be stereotypical, I know this topic could be answered better with like experience and like mainly women, because I feel like women are very into like the fashion aspect in the culture, but you could prove me wrong. So are there any traditional crafts practiced in your area?
I would say like waist beads. A lot of women, like you said, women do tend to make the waist beads. like they would gather like a lot of materials and like they would like form a group of like, I'm not gonna lie, it's always the elder that's always making them. It's like the grown women. They like to do craftsmanship, so they would make beads. I would say they like making skirts and dresses, just like materials that people can wear like out to like festivals, like I said. But like mainly I would say beads. Let me think. If not beads, then probably like shoes or just like anything that just like people can like use on a daily basis.
All right, okay. So have you ever seen any of these made by hands? Like, have you experienced it in person?
I've seen my grandma like when we were back in America, like she brought all her supplies here, and you know she's just so rooted into her culture, and that was her first time coming here. So like when she got here, like she just picked up all her hobbies, like she never left. And I seen her making like her little waist beads, because she wears a lot of them around her waist. So like she makes them, and she made like a whole like rainbow one, and it was like a colorful. But like the thing about it, you know, it was like you can tell it was African because like it was wore down, like it was like it just had like ethnic colors to it. And it was just like different. Like it was like the regular rainbow. Like it was the rainbow, but it was like a dumbed down rainbow, like an African rainbow. If that makes sense.
Like very colorful, very cultural. Like you would just be able to look at it and be like, oh, the African made that. That's nice. So with that being said, are you aware of the purpose of waist beads at all, or no?
There's many different like purposes for them, but the one I know of is like to like represent like your ancestors and like your dead, like the dead family members that you have in your family. But like depending on the person, it can have various meanings.
Right. So that kind of leads into my next question. Are you aware of any symbols or meanings behind certain designs when it comes to your clothing? I'm aware that Nigerians, they're very well known for their clothes. Even like creating clothes, they have very specific designs, patterns that represent their culture. So are there any symbols or meanings behind these designs that you're aware of?
Not symbols, but the designs like can like mean like, you know, purity, or just like peace, like wealth, or like nurture. Like it just means a lot of things. Like I said, it depends on the person who makes it and like how they take it in. But like if you can like have a meaning to anything you want, to be honest, it can mean anything you want.
All right, perfect. So that ends my questions for crafts, and the crafts kind of in like material culture, it kind of leads into the next topic, which is like fashion, costuming, how dressing and whatnot. So my first question with our new topic is, what traditional clothing is usually worn in your culture?
So we have this thing called native. Well, it's called native here, but I don't know if it's called native there or not. But like I grew up calling it native. So like it's like how do I explain? It's nothing like regular clothing. Like it was like a long shirt. Like it's like I don't want to say a blouse, but like maybe in a lady's form it's like a blouse, but like in a men's form it's like a men blouse. And it's really different. Like it's well put together. It's fabricated well. Like you have to have a tailor to make it. It's not something you can just go buy at the store. It has to be like handmade. And then like we have like things called like a fila is like the hat to that, and then we have blouses for women. It's just like a whole bunch of things. Like women wear these tight things around them. Typically in Africa, like women like they don't like to like show their stomach, so they would have this tight thing to wrap it around, and like it would like compact their stomach a little bit, and then
kind of like a corset.
Yeah, like a corset, and like they would wear that, and then they'll put their like little blouse over it, and then that's how they would wear that out.
Okay. So are there any specific outfits for weddings, funerals, or festivals? Because I can say for myself, being Senegalese, like weddings, we like, it's not like your common American wedding. We don't just wear white. We usually pop out in like a beautiful handmade dress, like he mentioned earlier. It's not something that you can just get made from the store. Usually it's from Africa and it gets shipped. Usually when it comes to weddings, funerals, and festivals. So are there any specific outfits that you could tell us about?
I wouldn't say specific outfits, but like native is like the main thing we wear everywhere. So like, but like I would definitely say like color has a lot of meaning to it. It would be the same fabric, but like color, like say we are at a funeral, typically what's being worn is either white or black. When we're at a festival, we're wearing blue, green, yellow. When we're at a wedding, we're wearing again blue, green. We're just wearing all different colors when it comes to weddings. But like it definitely it definitely matters about like where the place is or like what the occasion is.
Okay. So We just talked about clothing. You know, you put everything on. You called it not native.
Native.
Yeah, native. So I noticed that a lot of men in your culture happen to wear like these beaded necklaces. They're like orange necklaces with big beads. You know what I'm talking
Yeah, I
about?
know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So, like, do any certain colors or accessories carry any meaning?
Okay, I'm gonna be so honest. I've never worn one of those before.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say I'm rooted into my culture, but like, I'm not as rooted as like many are.
Right.
So I've never worn one of those beads before, so I don't really know the meaning behind them. But I think it's just like maybe like fast jewelry or just like something just to put on. But I'm pretty sure I think it has a meaning behind it. But I'll get back with you on that.
All right, thank you. So, how has modern fashion influenced traditional clothing styles today?
Oh, okay, that's a good question. So now, you guys know nowadays that you can call anything fashion.
Okay.
And then when you implement that into native, I'm talking about you can see so many different designs. We have this thing called agbada. So on top of the native, it's like a big thing that you put on your shoulders. You put on your shoulders like this. I think that stemmed from American fashion culture, but don't quote me on that. But I think it did. And just like so many things that American has like influence nowadays. I wouldn't say American. I would say like worldwide modern fashion. It's just like influenced so many things when it comes to like the African culture. I would say shoes. We used to like I said used to. We used to wear like we used to wear like maybe like suited shoes like professional occasion shoes like everywhere. That would just be like our Nikes or our Jordans. But nowadays we would wear like the same thing, but like it would have like many designs. It used to be like a really vague thing back then. Like it would just be like a solid color. Now it has many different colors to it. It has like little rips and cuts to it, like different laces and how we lace things. There's this one shoe like it looks like this, like a
slide.
Yeah, like a slide shoe. But then like it will have an opening up here, and it will just like be covered like this. So you just put your feet through it, and it has like little cuts like that. So, like that's one of the things I feel like it has been influenced by modern culture.
Okay, what do you find yourself wearing the most? Like, have you wore those shoes before, or like the native? Have you ever wore anything like that?
I've worn it before, but I've been Americanized, so I wear a lot of simplicity. Like I don't like going out of my way to like fashionize, if that makes sense. I like wearing sweatpants and just like simple things, just to make it look like, you know, I don't have money. That's just like
right.
Yeah.
So when you are going to an occasion, like, what's your go-to African attire?
My native. I got 3 forms. I wish I brought them. I got them in my closet. I got 3 forms of native. I got a white one, I got a black one, and I got a white and like blue striped one. So it depends. It depends on where I'm going. If it's a wedding, that white one's getting tossed on. I've never been to a funeral, so I can't speak on that. But if I'm going to a party, oh yeah, that white and blue one, put some shoes on, man. Yeah, we rocking out, some jewelry on.
Right, got a little competition, a lot of competition, a lot of people dressing nice. You know, you want to come in your best outfits, of course. So, with that being said, we're gonna wrap up talking about clothing and whatnot, and now we're gonna move on to music and instruments. So, I can say for myself that music is a very big aspect in like African culture when it comes to like music, instruments, instrumentals, lyrics. All of that's very important. We love music. We love to dance to music, just loud, upbeat music. So with that being said, what kinds of traditional music are popular in your culture, and do you listen to any of them as well?
As you guys may know, y'all know about the Afro beats.
Facts.
I don't listen to Afro beats. A lot of people look at me weird when I say that.
I don't listen to Afro beats either. I can't find a good one.
Yeah.
Can't get into it.
Don't get me wrong, chat. When we at the party, they turn them Afro beats on, you know I'm jigging.
Right.
But like something on my alone time, I'm not that type of person. I like listening to some jazz music, maybe calm rap, talking about G Herbo, maybe a little bit of Lil Durk. Not as much as a fan as she is, but
yeah, Lil Durk, we love Lil Durk.
Not Lil Durk, but like I said, like the Afro beats is something like that's really like culturalized. There's like so many different genres when it comes to. We have like Ashake, we have Wizkid, we have Olamide. They all have their different forms. Yeah, a lot of Nigerian artists. They have their different forms of like Afro beats, and it's just like so captivating. The instrumentals, the beats, and just like everything. And then when it comes to like instruments, one of the main things that we usually play is always the drums. We have like a specific drum that you put right here, and you have like a little stick, and you just beat it like that, not like your traditional drums. And like those, you could just like make different tunes with that, and the way you carry it, different parts of the drum you hit, it makes different sounds. And then like another thing I would say is the flute. A lot of people don't know that, but like people in Africa, like they really prioritize playing the flute. I think it's just like the tunes and like it connects with you. It connects with like Mother Nature, if that makes sense. Like the
Mhm.
flute is like so pure, and it's just like so nice to listen to. And then the other one, I'm not sure what it's called, but it's like them little things. And you're like,
Oh, harmonica.
yeah, a harmonica. Yeah, they play that a lot in Africa.
Interesting.
Yeah, you go around and you try to get some water or something. They're just like just like
People
entertain
just
you.
playing the harmonica on the streets.
Yeah, just playing it just because that's just what they like to do. And I found that really interesting because like I'd never seen anybody here play that before. So it was just like, wow, people are really different like everywhere.
Yeah, all cultures are very different. I could agree. The harmonica is most definitely like an African thing, or it's most definitely not an American thing. Like you don't just go out downtown or Kirkwood, see people just playing the harmonica. So it's very interesting how every culture has their own like significant instrument. But with that being said, you mentioned Afrobeats.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like Afrobeats is more popular in America, or would you say it's more popular in Africa? And like when I say that, I mean like Afrobeats talked about all the time. Like there's parties specifically for Afrobeats. Like the Afrobeat culture in America, especially on campus, is very huge. Like everybody listens to Afrobeats. So do you feel like it's as hyped up in America as it is in Africa?
One thing I will say is that it's more like it's published more in America,
Mm-hmm.
so we can see like a lot of more people listening to it. But in Africa, like I won't say our technology is as like quite up to date as America. So like you won't always see like people like vibing out to Afro beats as much as you do here. I would say that people in Africa are way more in tuned with it. Like they understand where the lyrics are coming from, like deeply where it's coming from, because the artist grew up with them. The artist was like there like when they grew up, like they watched the artist grow up, if that makes sense. Here it got popularized off of YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and so like a lot of people see that and it's just like mainstreamed a lot. So I would say it's definitely more popularized here, but people in Africa listen to it a lot more here. I mean there.
I agree. So with that being said, I agree with what you said. Like it's very popular in Africa, but me personally, I feel like the American Afro beats, they're much more like upbeat, and like they talk about like what's very much trending, like girls, money, fashion, shoes. Just I feel like it's not Americanized, not they're making their Afro beats more Americanized, but I feel like that Afro beats that come like from Africa are more like pure, if that makes sense.
And I would say like the way how she said like it talks about girls, money, and stuff like that is mainly due to the audience, because Afrobeats here it draws in the more audience. The producer wants to engage with their audience that's here more than like back at home, because this is where they're like established. So that would make more sense of like why they would be talking about like more mainstream things like that.
So what role does music play in your daily life, or even if you go to ceremonies? You said you haven't been to a funeral, but like when you go to weddings and festivals, how does music play a part of that?
I would say music is one of the main things, just because it brings that vibe, that catch. Like as you guys can see here, we have music in the background and it's just adding to the vibe. When it comes to ceremonies, music is just like one of those main things that just like it's just in the background while there's just like distant chatter. It's just there just to make sure like there's no empty noise. And then sometimes that one song will play on and it will just get everybody in that mood, and then back to like the regular songs and another song will come on, and it's just like a constant rotation of just like a vibe then chill, then a vibe, just chill. So I would say music has like definitely a big impact when it comes to ceremonies.
Right. Music is very essential nowadays.
Yeah.
Now, what about with your daily life? Like, how does music impact, like for Afrobeats or like Nigerian music, how does that impact your daily life? Because you mentioned that you don't listen to Afrobeats, right?
I don't.
So I'm assuming that it doesn't affect your daily life at all.
It doesn't.
What about people around you? Like, do they try to put you on to Afrobeats music, or do they play that?
Yes, they do. I tell them to stop, but they don't listen. I hang around a lot of Africans, so they like. I don't even think they really like Afro beats. I would just say it's just like a more of a trying to fit in thing. Like I feel like come on, like if you're making Afro beats your whole personality, like can we lock in, please?
That's real.
You're allowed to have your own genre of music, and you don't have to always have somebody validate your music taste, if that makes sense. But like they definitely do try to push it in my face. But one thing about me, I stand on what I prefer. So I'm never gonna go on my way to try something I don't like. I've tried to listen to Afrobeats, but it's just not my thing.
I agree with you completely. I tried to listen to Afrobeats because the groups program I was in, I was meeting a lot of Africans. Like I never been around so many Africans all at once. It was always Afrobeats this, Afrobeats that. But every time I tried to play a song I was recommended, I just could not get into it.
Yeah.
It's just
Afrobeats was my thing, bro.
yeah, same. And I'm very shocked that Afrobeats aren't your thing, because every time you played an Afrobeat song at the karaoke thing.
Look,
You were dancing to everything.
I played the Afrobeat song because you gotta understand where you gotta be the vibe. You feel me? Look, I'm not about to play no jazz music while everybody just up there dancing and stuff.
Yeah,
who's
very
about to dance?
upbeat.
Yeah, who's about to dance to jazz music? But I do know a lot of Afrobeat songs just because they've been played around me so much. But that doesn't mean I like them.
Right.
But I will dance and get jiggy when it's time to.
When it's time, that's so real. So, speaking of music, one thing that ties really well with music is dancing. So, are there any traditional dances in your culture?
Okay, don't quote me on this again. We have a dance called Azonto. Man, that thing was long. I would say 2014, 2015, 2016. That was one of the main dances. Everybody was doing it. I feel like that's one of the dances that really like popularized Afrobeats. Another one is like a song called Bubble by Olamide. So like Olamide, Wizkid, and Asake, I would say those three people have like took over, and Burna Boy have took over.
Burna Boy,
yeah,
for sure.
has took over what what Afrobeats really is, and and they turn those into dances. We have leg work. Leg work is one of those main dances where you get jiggy with it. I don't know how to do it, but man, if you know how to perfect leg work, that's one of like the best things. Like to like, it's like a group like bringing like everybody loves to see.
It's like is it like a line? Not like a line dance, but it's just like that one song that brings everybody like to the floor dancing. Like what's that one song that plays everybody knows it, everybody's dancing to it?
Burna Boy, that song like my ayo.
Oh, Last.
Yeah, that song, man, you turn that on.
That song was so popular. that song was so popular in 2022. I remember because it was during the summer. Everybody knew that song. The Americans, the Italians, all of them. Everybody was listening to that
TikTok,
song.
Bro.
Yeah, TikTok had that song going up most definitely. So one song I would say is the I am.
You sing it?
I am.
So, I don't know that song. I'm not tapped in, bro.
No, yes you do. It goes like, you belong to me.
Oh, and I belong to you. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know what she's talking about.
Yeah, that's a very popular song. What's that song called?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I know what you mean.
But it always played at my family functions.
Okay, that's a good one.
So, what events or celebrations usually involve dancing? I know that you mentioned earlier weddings and ceremonies. So, would you just keep that answer? Like, it's usually always at weddings, ceremonies, get-togethers.
Weddings, ceremonies, parties. You go out with your friends. Y'all do what y'all want. You can dance anywhere you want, to be honest.
That's true.
It don't even gotta be like a named event. But like, yeah, maybe like you said, weddings, festivals. I don't see too many people dancing at funerals.
Yeah.
I don't think people dance at funerals, but
I
it
doubt
depends.
it. Like read the room type.
Yeah.
So, can you describe the style or meaning behind any one of these dances? For example, you said leg work. Like, do you know the origin of leg work, or like why it's so popular, or any assumptions?
Okay, I don't know the origin, but I would say it's so popular just because the way it looks, it's really satisfying to the eye. Like if like the way people can just dance and like they can keep their leg up and catch back on their balance. It's just like it's so impressive, and then they can do it constantly, and they can do like different forms of leg work too. Like it's just so beautiful to watch, to be honest. Like when it's a professional.
That's
and then I would say like hip dancing. And women tend to do that like in like a group dancing performance. They would like do like hip movements, like they just, and they just know how to do it so well. And it's just not something like. And one thing I will say about the hip movements, people over sexualize it a lot.
Yes, I was literally going to say that next. I was literally going to say that next because I know me personally, like growing up, dancing with your hips and twerking. I didn't know what twerking was before I knew what twerking was, if that makes sense. But I just know that now it's very over sexualized. It's seen as like a very like unprofessional, uncommon thing that you shouldn't be doing, when it's really just a dance movement. I know when I went to Senegal, like everybody was doing what you would call twerking, but I didn't even see it as twerking. Like, yeah, you're shaking your butt, but it's normal. Like you're dancing to fast-paced music. Like you're just on go. You're dancing. You're doing popular dances that aren't over sexualized. I feel like that's one thing in our in the African culture. Dances aren't as sexualized as dances in America are.
Yeah, and one thing I will add is like you're not even supposed to over sexualize them when they're doing dances like that. I feel like the audience need to like calm down and just let the women perform, because like it's a part of what they do. Like you have to understand they've practiced countless times to do this, and if they go on stage and they do what you guys call twerking, and then you just start shaming them, calling them unmodest and this and that, like you have to understand how that weighs on the person who's been practicing these dances for like a while. So like just take in the piece of art and just like learn from it if you can, because everything has meaning behind it, even dances.
Exactly, and that really ties into like folklore, because these dances have been dances for centuries, for literally decades, for years. Like these have been dances, and we're just continuing to pass it on through generations. These are just popular dances. Heavy on the word dances. It's just people dancing and performing and just trying to bring entertainment into the world. Exactly. So, with that being said, do you usually dance when you're at functions, or do you just like vibe? Are you the one vibing in the corner? I know the answer to this, but
who's she asking? Who's she asking? Bro, I'm the life of the party, bro.
That's
See,
real.
Look, bro, I ain't gonna lie. One thing about me, bro, I don't like to think. I just like to do, bro. I just like to do.
You just always on go.
Yeah, I'm always on go. It's like you only live once, and I'm not even gonna use the only live once. You just gotta be persistent with the present. Don't worry about what the other person is thinking. Just catch your own vibe, bro. Because at the end of the day, they're not gonna remember that stuff tomorrow. Live in the moment. So at the parties, bro, I be laughing at the party. I be what? I be doing moves I don't even think I'm about to do. You just gotta like go with the flow.
Just move your body.
Yeah,
however your body moves is however your body moves.
And one thing I would say is always have the right environment to have some like-minded people with you, party-wise. And man, there's one thing to be vibing at a party by yourself, but if you're vibing at a party by yourself with people that vibe too, it's 10 times better. You do your thing, you back up, push them in the circle, they get in, push them back, you get back in. I'm talking about it's a constant rotation. Like,
right. It's just like, everybody going back and forth dancing, having a good time.
Yep.
Which we love, straight vibes. So with that being said, do you feel like you usually find people dancing to just fast, upbeat music, or do you think it's very versatile with the tones and like the way the music sounds? Like, are there a lot of slow dances in your cultures?
Okay, yes.
In your culture?
I like this question. So fast paced, you can do a lot of things fast paced, but when it comes to slow paced, I would say like you would do the same thing that you're doing in fast paced songs, but you would just do it slower, if that makes sense. So like say like there was a fast paced song and you're just like, say you're doing a fast leg work. When it comes to the slow play song, you would do like a synchronized slow leg work. And like I said earlier, it's so satisfying to watch. Like they would just do it slow.
Because it's crazy how people can catch the beat like that, just calm down and
how they do it, bro.
Still doing the same exact dance.
It's just
crazy.
it's just like a groove. It's like a vibe, and it's just something you gotta practice over some years to like really perfect that craft.
Okay, period. So we had a lot to say about dancing, but now we're going to move on to our next topic, which is storytelling and oral tradition. So are there any folklores or proverbs? Actually, sorry, let me reword that. Are folklores or... Sorry, let me reword that one more time. Are folk tales or proverbs a big part of your culture?
Yes, they are. I'm not gonna lie, my parents used to tell me, not my parents, my mom used to tell me like a story all the time when like I need to go to bed or I wasn't feeling too well, or it's just like, she was like, it's not, I don't want to get too religious, but like it's about God and like how he's always going to protect you. And she said her grandma used to tell her that story, and her grandma's grandma told her that story, and it's just been passed down every time. And that's something I'm going to tell my kids too when they need to sleep. I just need it to be passed down because it started from somewhere, and I don't want it to end nowhere.
Exactly. And that's it. It sounded like you were still talking.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. And basically to piggyback off that, it's just really crazy to show like how much of like folk tales and folklore, like how much of an impact it has, because as he said, it started somewhere, and that's how most tales usually start somewhere. We don't know who, we don't know how, we don't know how the story came to be, but it's continuing to be passed on throughout generations, which is very interesting to me. So this next question kind of leads into the first question I asked, if you want to go more into detail. But would you be comfortable sharing your favorite story, myth, or folk tale from your childhood? Yeah,
okay, I will. Okay, so there's this story that my mom told me back when I was in Africa. It was like this boy, and he's seen two twins on top. Like in Africa, it's like a really crazy terrain, so like you have ups and downs and ups. So like at the top of the hill there was two twins. They didn't have no hair, they were bald, In Africa, women tend to like have really low hair, and it's just normalized there.
That's
So
true.
like they were bald, and like the boy, he walked up and he took both of the twins and he knocked their heads together. It was just like something impulsive. So then he got his karma back and he fell in the well. Like in Africa, they have a lot of wells like to get water out of.
Yeah,
And, like it's just really
popular.
normal there. Yeah. So then he got his karma the night of, and he fell in the well. And the story was like never like ever just like do something impulsive mean to others, because you will always like get your karma back. And another thing is like my parents always told me, hey, stay away from the well unless you want to fall like that boy did. And it was like we always stayed away from the wells, and it was just like I don't know. As a kid, it was really frightening, but as I grew up, I was like, okay, like, yeah. But like that was like one of the common stories a lot of people told around, and like my mother really like told my grandma.
And that's very amusing to hear, because most of these like stories, these myths, they usually have one lesson at the end. So I see that you were able to get a lesson out of that story that you were told, what's it called, as you were growing up. And is that the story that you plan on telling like to your kids? Or
I'm not gonna tell my kids that, just because like I don't think my kids are gonna grow up in Africa around wells and stuff. But like the moral of the story, I will tell them like, do not do anything impulsive that's always gonna hurt others, because like karma's always gonna come around and get you in the back.
Exactly.
But I will tell my kids about the religious one. I don't want to get too deep in that, because like it's really religious. But I like that religious one is like always keep God in your life, because you God. Like God is like such an important factor when it comes to like getting what you want in this life.
That's real. And thank you for respecting our viewers by not pouring your religious aspects into the podcast.
Of course.
But with that being said, so who usually tells you these stories? Is it usually your elders, parents? Are you hearing it from friends, siblings? How do these stories come to be in your life?
I would say my grandmother and my mother, and then my grandmother's elderly friends. They would be the ones that always telling me stories as I grew up. I think they just knew the stories just because they all grew up together. So like they would just tell it to me. They would also tell them to like their kids, and like then we would discuss them like, oh, the grandma and auntie tell you this, or auntie to tell you that. And it was just like it's like a constant thing that we used to do as children.
Do you find yourself still doing that today, or you haven't really been in the environment to hear these stories?
I don't find myself doing that today, just mainly because like, you know, we're in college. There's a lot of more things we need to prioritize in storytelling. But like if there is free time, that's something I would love to do, just to capture like old memories.
That's real. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up storytelling in oral tradition. I hope that you were able to gain some things from that. Considering the time, we're gonna move on to personal reflection. We have been in this room for a little bit and just been talking about our cultures and just how Precious grew up. So shout out Precious. Thank you, Precious, for coming here. Hey. So yeah, now we're gonna move on to personal reflection. So what part of your cultural heritage are you most proud of today?
Well, that's a good question. That's a good question. What part of my cultural heritage am I most proud of today?
So while you're thinking, I can answer for myself. I would most definitely say like just the way I was raised, period. Like my mom just always taught me to like be nice to other people, be very giving, be very thankful, and just like always just show up and show out. So I just feel like that's a very important thing, because not to compare myself, but being in America, a lot of people who are American, like they grow up to be like disrespectful or just not on the right route. And I feel like my mom has I feel like our culture has made me the way I am, like when it comes to how I talk to people, when I talk to elders, just keeping in mind that like my mom is an immigrant and she came here for like one thing, and that was to make things better for ourselves. So I feel like her explaining that to me while teaching me our culture, I wasn't too lost. Like I'm not too Americanized. I can say that I'm Americanized, but I know enough about my culture to know how to treat people, how to talk, how to like just be successful in life. So I feel like that's one thing that culture plays a part of our lives a lot, because we don't want to lose that culture that we're holding on to as well, because we're gonna have kids and we want our kids to know about our cultures that our parents put onto us. So yeah.
One thing I would say is the way my parents pushed me to thrive in school. They like one thing about my parents, you cannot come home with a B. I was an all A student, so like my standards have always been high. I wouldn't even say my standards have always been high. That's just always been the bare minimum for me because my parents made it that standard. So like every time I looked at something else, like a B or a C, even a B plus, and my mom would like a B plus was not accepted in the house just because that's how she grew up in Africa. So she wanted to implement that in my life. And another thing is like always being humble before anything. That's one thing she's like always taught me to be. Because nobody's better than anybody. We are all equal. We all have fuck ups. We all have slips. We all have so many things that just like people don't know about. Like everybody has their own challenges in battle. So you always want to be humble before anybody because the other thing that somebody else is fighting is something completely different than somebody else is fighting. So it's just like always be humble. Always be humble.
That's real. That's a very good way to put it in perspective for other people. So you mentioned your mom always or raised you to be humble and to get good grades as well, like to be consistent. So when you were a kid, how did that make you feel? Because I know when we're kids, like we hear these things, but we're just like too immature to be like, oh, she's trying to set me up. In the moment, we're kind of just like, oh, whatever, like you're being strict or whatnot. So how do you feel that affected you as a child, and how do you think you grew from being told like what to do?
All right. Okay, this is a very good question. So as a child, I just took it in as just like following my mother's instructions because every time like she wouldn't give me a reward for coming home with like straight A's or a 4.0, and for some reason that confused me as a kid because you know people in my classes they would bring home C's and just a passing grade and they would get like money or a new phone, and I was just like kind of frustrated. So one day I came back to my mom and I asked her like, Mom, I come back home with 4.0s every year, so why am I not getting anything? And she said, Precious, the way we grew up, like she doesn't have. It was just me and my mother, a single mother. My dad left us, and we were living in an apartment, 1 bedroom, and like that didn't hit me yet. Because I was a child then, that didn't hit me. She was like, Precious, you just have to wait till our time because like, and I was a stubborn little kid. I was like, Mom, but when is it gonna be? I'm constantly bringing these here, but it was just like. It was just something I didn't understand now. I mean then, but as I grew up, like it hit me. I was like, wow, my mother really did all of that while it was just her. And then nowadays, like I take that into so much appreciation. Like I don't even expect anything when I overachieve anymore, and it's just like I have to go out of my way to like get what I want if that makes sense.
And that's a very good realization that I feel like our parents have put on us because especially as we grow up, we're not always going to get rewarded for the things we get. And I very much relate to like the single mother being in an apartment, just, you know, like my mom, she very much thrived for everything that she had. Like even while she was still in school, she was going to work and she was taking care of her kids all by herself. And the fact that she was able to do all of that, but still put in that culture aspect and never made us forget where we were from by just like her dances, her clothing, her cooking and whatnot, it very much has shaped a lot of people in like in our society today, just our parents doing these things, coming from a different country and not being familiar. So very thankful for that. So with that being said, if you could pass one tradition or story onto the next generation, what would it be and why?
I would keep the same standards when it comes to like doing the best you can and not expecting everything, because that I feel like that solely builds you as like a really good person. If you're going out of your way to like achieve greatness and above greatness, you're not expecting anything. You're going into like full-heartedly. So like there won't be an excuse for like why you did this or why you did that. You will have to own up to your own mistakes, take your own accountability, because what are you expecting? If you don't expect anything and you fail, it's just like, okay, you failed. Like if you come in there expecting something, it's like, damn, I didn't get this, or dang, I didn't get that. So just come into everything. I would tell my kids like just come into everything without expecting anything and just try your best. Give everything your full effort, because you never know what's going to be worthwhile.
Right. So you would be able to say that these traditions have shaped who you are today.
I would definitely say that. I would say like how I am now, like right now, I've built that on my own. But like the things that like stick behind my head, just to like, how do I put this? Like I know what not to do because of how my parents raised me. Like
that's real.
Even if they're not right in front of me, it was like, what would I do if she was right in front of me? So I keep that in mind.
Okay. Oh, sorry. I thought you were done talking. But with that being said, we are going to wrap up the interview. Huge shout out to Precious. Thank you for coming out and taking time out your day. Yes, of course. And taking time out your day to listen to. I'm sorry.